The Sikorsky CH-54, often referred to as the Skycrane, is one of the most unique and visually striking helicopters ever built, a true engineering marvel that looks nothing like a traditional helicopter and yet has proven itself to be one of the most versatile and powerful heavy-lift aircraft in the world. Imagine a helicopter that seems skeletal in design, with its open frame, tall landing gear, and almost crane-like appearance, designed not for carrying people in comfort but for transporting massive loads that no other helicopter of its time could manage. This was the CH-54, developed in the early 1960s by Sikorsky Aircraft to fulfill the United States Army's need for a specialized flying crane capable of transporting heavy equipment, cargo, and even other aircraft across challenging terrains. The story of the CH-54 begins in an era where mobility was everything, especially during the Cold War, when the United States needed ways to quickly move military hardware and supplies to remote locations where ground transportation was nearly impossible. Conventional helicopters had limited lifting ability, and cargo planes required runways, which were not always available in combat zones. Igor Sikorsky's company came up with an unconventional solution: why not design a helicopter that was essentially a flying crane, one that could carry its payloads externally underneath its fuselage? Instead of focusing on passengers or enclosed cargo bays, the CH-54 was stripped down to the basics: a cockpit at the front, powerful twin engines, 6 massive rotor blades, and tall landing gear that allowed space underneath for cargo to be attached. The CH-54 quickly stood out for its incredible lifting capacity. Powered initially by 2 Pratt & Whitney turboshaft engines, the early versions of the Skycrane could lift more than 10 tons of cargo, and later models pushed this capability even further. To put this into perspective, the CH-54 could carry loads heavier than many small planes. It was used to lift tanks, artillery, trucks, prefabricated buildings, and even crashed aircraft that needed recovery from difficult terrain. In fact, one of its most famous missions was recovering downed helicopters from combat zones in Vietnam, bringing them back to bases for repair or reuse. Instead of abandoning millions of dollars worth of equipment, the CH-54 saved countless assets by flying them out of dangerous areas. During the Vietnam War, the CH-54 Skycrane earned its reputation as a lifesaver and a game-changer. Its ability to quickly move heavy artillery like howitzers meant that U.S. forces could reposition their firepower within hours rather than days, giving them a significant tactical advantage. It could also deliver entire portable hospitals, bridges, and command centers into remote jungle areas where no roads existed. This ability to airlift entire facilities made the Skycrane a symbol of flexibility and power. Troops would often watch in awe as this massive machine flew overhead, carrying loads that seemed impossible for any helicopter to manage. One of the unique design features of the CH-54 was its modular approach to cargo. The Skycrane could carry specialized pods that could be attached beneath the helicopter. These pods could be outfitted as mobile command centers, medical units, or troop carriers. This meant the helicopter wasn't just a lifter, it could transform into a flying operations hub depending on the mission. The pilot and crew sat high above in the narrow cockpit, with excellent visibility of the load being carried below, thanks to the glass panels and observation stations. Crews used a special aft-facing pilot's seat to precisely maneuver loads, making it possible to place cargo with pinpoint accuracy. Despite its size, the CH-54 was remarkably agile. It could hover steadily with massive weights and even perform precise placement of loads, which made it ideal for construction projects as well as military use. In fact, after its military career, the Skycrane found a second life in the civilian world. Sikorsky's design was later adapted by Ericsson Air Crane, which purchased the type certificate and continued to operate and improve upon the helicopter. Civilian Skycranes became indispensable for heavy lift operations like installing transmission towers, placing HVAC units on skyscrapers, building oil rigs, and most famously, fighting wildfires. With its ability to carry a 2,650-gallon water tank, the Skycrane could swoop into a blaze, refill from a nearby lake or reservoir in seconds, and dump massive amounts of water with pinpoint accuracy to suppress raging fires. The sight of a CH-54 or its civilian cousin, the S-64 aircrane, hovering over a wildfire, releasing torrents of water, has become iconic. Cities around the world, from Los Angeles to Athens, have relied on these helicopters to protect homes and forests from destruction. The aircraft's unique skeletal frame, which once looked unusual for a military helicopter, proved perfect for firefighting because of its versatility and the ability to swap out equipment depending on the job. Technically, the CH-54 was a masterpiece of engineering. Its six-blade main rotor system provided the lift needed for enormous payloads, while its tall, wide landing gear created clearance for awkward loads. The fuselage itself was minimized, reducing unnecessary weight and maximizing lifting efficiency. It had a crew of three, two pilots and an aft-facing pilot or operator, who controlled the load operations. The cockpit was designed with functionality in mind, giving the pilots a clear downward view so they could monitor the cargo. Over time, upgrades in engines and avionics only increased its performance, making it one of the most effective heavy-lift helicopters of its era. Even though production numbers were relatively limited, the U.S. Army only received a few hundred CH-54s, their impact was outsized. They served faithfully through the Vietnam War and into the 1970s before being retired from active military service as newer helicopters like the CH-47 Chinook and CH-53 Super Stallion took on more transport roles. But the Skycrane's legacy was far from over. Ericsson's commercial fleet ensured the design lived on well into the 21st century, proving that this unusual helicopter had a timeless utility unmatched by many other aircraft. Today, the CH-54 and its descendants are admired not just for their service history but also for their contribution to fields far beyond the battlefield. From rescuing downed aircraft to constructing skyscrapers, from building power lines in mountains to saving forests from fire, the Skycrane has touched countless lives, often without people even knowing it. Its design philosophy, focus on the mission, strip away unnecessary weight, and maximize capability, was bold and ahead of its time. When you look at a Sikorsky CH-54, you're looking at a machine that defied traditional ideas of what a helicopter should look like and do. It wasn't built to be sleek or glamorous, but to solve problems that no other helicopter could solve. It succeeded so well that even decades after its military retirement, it continues to fly and perform jobs that modern helicopters still struggle with. The Skycrane stands as a testament to ingenuity, practicality, and raw power, earning its place in aviation history as one of the most extraordinary helicopters ever designed. From the jungles of Vietnam to the skylines of modern cities, from lifting tanks to fighting wildfires, the CH-54 Sikorsky Skycrane has proven that true greatness in aviation isn't always about speed or beauty, but about purpose, endurance, and the ability to do the impossible. Its story is a reminder that sometimes the most unconventional designs turn out to be the most effective, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire engineers, aviators, and problem solvers around the world.